Let's start out by masking the model and bringing a cylinder 3D from the gizmo. The orientation of the gizmo will determine how the primitive will come in. Invert the mask and split unmasked points. Scale it in the Z-axis and click on Unify. Unify is located in the tool palette under the Deformation subpalette. Delete the middle edge loop and turn on symmetry in the Z-axis. Click Alt to tag and Q-mesh them out. Unmask the ends and clip them back. Then bring up the gizmo and scale them in the Y-axis. Select rectangle the top cylinder and give it a new polygroup. Inset polygroup island and Q-mesh it out. Hold down Shift while Q-meshing to go into a move operation. Unmask the bottom and extrude it out. Mask the model and reposition the gizmo to bring in a cylinder 3D. Leave symmetry on to bring in a cylinder on both sides. Scale and move them into place. Turn on local symmetry so the scale will not move them to the center of the canvas. Local symmetry is located in the Transform palette. Let's reposition the gizmo, then mask the model and bring in a polycube. Delete the edge loops if there are any, then scale and move the cube to match the reference. Mask everything and reposition the gizmo to the corner. Scale them down and duplicate them to the other side. Press QC50 and uncrease the upper edges. Insert edge loops to control the falloff. Then press Ctrl W to make it a single polygroup. Scale the bottom up and continue to refine the shape. Mask the model and bring in a cylinder 3D from the gizmo. Invert the mask and split unmasked points. Mask one end of the cylinder and move it out. Slice in 2 edge loops and Q-mesh the middle poly loop. Then slice in 3 edge loops and Q-mesh the 2 poly loops. Give the model a slight bevel on the corners. Press QC30 and Ctrl W to make a single polygroup. Mask the model and bring in a cylinder 3D from the gizmo. Invert the mask and split unmasked points. Delete the loops and scale it in the Z axis. Control move with the gizmo to make a duplicate and scale it up in the Z axis. Mask everything and bring in a polysphere. Then press Auto Groups and QC50. Control-click with the gizmo on the bottom of the cylinder and scale it up. What I am looking for is the cylinder to be about the same radius as the middle of the sphere. Turning off Polyframe might help with the scaling. I am also control-clicking the end of the cylinder so not to disturb the distance. When everything is lined up, apply the dynamic subdivisions and delete the lower subdivisions. Make it one polygroup and Dynamesh it at a fairly high resolution. You can either use the Smooth Stronger brush or turn on Sculptris Pro to help smooth out the transitions. You don't have to go crazy with the smoothing. Z-Remesher will also help with the smoothing. Running a polish open circle sometimes can help as well. Let's grab the Slice Curve brush and slice the ends. Select the middle polygroup and delete the hidden geo. Bring up the gizmo and select Remesh by ZRemesher. Drag out the red cone to activate symmetry in the x-axis and set the white cone to somewhere around 200 polys. Go to the gear and press accept when you're done. Slide the points so we have a little bit better edge flow. Close the caps with the Z-Modeler brush and let's do a quick cleanup on the back. Hide the topology we don't want and press Delete Hidden. From the edge action, select Bridge, 2 holes and 1 line as the target. Then we can delete the unwanted edge loops. Press Group by Normals, select the middle polygroup and then invert the selection. Press Ctrl W to make the caps one polygroup. Now we can select Inset, Polygroup All to affect both the caps. Next, let's do a Q-Mesh Polygroup All. Let's select Crease Polygroup All and Outer Targets as the modifier. Turn on Dynamic and add edge loops to tighten up the ends. If you want, you can use the smooth brush on a low intensity if there are still any issues on the bend. Select Slide Edge Loop Complete to close the gap on the outer ends. Unmask the end to move it out. Same with the other end, except scale it in a bit as well. Bring all the small pieces you made into one subtool. Position it on the bottom, right between the 2 metal braces. Now you can merge that down, and we can array the piece around. For the array, we want the repeats to be at 4 and rotate 360 for the Y amount. Do a quick look around to see if everything is lining up. Then click on Make Mesh when you are ready to commit.